We've had patients that a lot of them that regret seeing this place closed. We've had several. I walked in on one the other day that was crying in Dr. Laura Goddard's room, and that's what she was crying about. She was upset because she could no longer come to this place and see doctors that she knew, see Cuban doctors, and talk to them in Spanish, and with the feeling that they would help.
For 13 years, 650,000 Cuban refugees filled these rooms in Freedom Tower on Biscayne Boulevard as they sought help. But in recent years, many of Miami's derelicts called the old building home. They found it easy to get in the unguarded windows and doors, and vandals ran rampant through it as well. Today, workmen began to cinder block the ground floor windows and doors to keep intruders out. They expect to finish their work by the end of the week. The tower's mortgage holder, Citibank of New York, ordered the ceiling off to protect its investment. It foreclosed after Miamian Sam Polar missed his payment. He's challenging that in court. The future of the once proud building, which was the home of the Miami News before it became a symbol of hope for those refugees who fled Cuba, is still in doubt. It may become an office building, or it may be torn down. Ike Siemens, Channel 4 News.
Protect a private enterprise, private development, simply by being on.
just think that it's a shame when you speak to anybody about it, they say, oh, it's no good, they should tear it down and build a high-rise. Well, this is a national monument, actually, and that's what the meeting is all about, too, because that's our main effort here, is not an economical project. The meeting is to have it declared a national monument and to form a committee such that it will be sure the building is saved.
The Freedom Tower is the one landmark in Miami that stands as a clear reminder of the migration of thousands of Cubans to this country. But despite its past history, its future is in jeopardy. The major obstacle to plans for preservation of the 53-year-old tower is its legal status. Citibank, a New York-based institution, foreclosed on the building's mortgage held by Miami resident Sam Poehler last March. Poehler is contesting that action in a legal battle that could tie up the title for more than 6 months. But Ricardo Núñez, former director of the Cuban Refugee Center, has been in contact with Citibank and will shortly submit a proposal aimed at saving the tower.
Mr. Núñez, he authorized a financial study of this building to see what the optimum use of the building could be. So we found out that the use of an office complex or an office plaza will be the ideal proposal for this building. It will take approximately, I would say, close to $100,000 to do an in-depth analysis of the structure. Because for an investment of approximately $3.2 million that will be needed to rehabilitate the building and to restore it.
Although there is much talk of a massive fundraising effort in the Cuban community to save the Freedom Tower, the reality is that that option is seen as an unlikely solution, since only a sound business venture will keep the Freedom Tower from being demolished. Ana Ascui, Channel 4 News.
The building itself is part of the history of Miami. It housed the first newspaper in Miami way back from 1924 to 57. And then it's historical because of the Cuban refugees being processed through here. It's been the Statue of Liberty for the Southern Hemisphere as well as for the Cubans. And its benefit is in its historical importance to the city.
The Freedom Tower belongs to the Miami skyline, more so perhaps than the newer buildings that have sprung up all around it. Built in 1925 as the Miami News Tower, the deteriorating structure at 600 Biscayne Boulevard was last used as the processing center for Cuban refugees. When it closed years ago, vagrants and vandals moved in, doing their damage and causing the owners to block off the entrance. What will probably be the death knell for the landmark building came today with the release of an economic feasibility study showing that rehabilitating the tower is just not economically possible. According to the report, it would take an outlay of nearly $3 million and a total investment of nearly $6 million to make the necessary repairs. What's more, the report says the building would then provide a return on investment of only 1.7%, which the study's author says is ridiculously insufficient.
No developer, nor will a bank offer financing for such a venture due to the risks that will be involved. If it was up to the private sector, I think demolition will be unavoidable.
Sadly, there is no public sentiment to save the Freedom Tower, and an offer by a private developer to buy it was withdrawn today following release of the study.
Realistically, then, it looks as if the Freedom Tower building will be preserved, but only in the form in which you are now seeing it, on film, viewable in the future only on a trip into the Channel 4 film library. Bob Mayer, Channel 4 News.
The structure has quite a history. Built in 1925 by former Ohio governor and newspaper publisher James Cox, the tower was used during the 1960s and early 70s to process hundreds of thousands of Cuban refugees.
To many Latins, it's the Statue of Liberty of the Southern Hemisphere, and its unique character will be preserved.
The most important aspect of the plan is that the tower itself will be preserved in its entirety. The only portion that will be demolished is that warehouse portion in the rear, which used to serve at one time as the Miami News press room. The new structure will go up 50 feet from the tower, and will have reflective glass to give a four-dimensional view of the tower from all angles from the boulevard. The new building will be 25 stories high. It will have in excess of 500,000 square feet of total space and over 300,000 in leasable space. It will have covered parking for over 600 automobiles.
The new owner, Miami developer Ronald Fine, bought the property for more than $1.6 million. The sale will be finalized in 120 days, and construction on the new commercial property at the northwest corner of Biscayne Boulevard and Northeast 6th Street will begin in 1981. Mary Ann Kane, Channel 4 News.
Of the movers and shakers of South Florida's political and financial establishment gathered at a Columbus Hotel luncheon today to hear plans for the construction of downtown Miami's latest skyscraper. The $170 million structure is the brainchild of Miami developer Ron Fine, who says the project will also preserve the historic but now dilapidated Freedom Tower, where thousands of Cuban refugees were once processed.
The old building is being restored and renovated to its original condition. It'll be used, the ground floors, as a public interest section depicting the development of the tower and the development of the city of Miami. And the major portion of the project will be used as conference and office center.
Governor Bob Graham, one of the luncheon hosts, said the hotel and office complex was another reflection of Miami's rising international status.
Miami has become a world-class city. The basis, the economic justification for this project, as with so many others that are in place or under construction in this area, is that we are becoming an international community.
The 69-story project will employ nearly 1,000 construction workers and will add another 700 permanent and part-time jobs to the local economy after completion.
And so the Freedom Tower, a witness to so much of Miami's past, will be a centerpiece for what the developers hope will be an even more exciting future. Jack Curtis, Channel 4 News.